I wanted to talk about map balance today because it's a really big problem and most of the maps behavior has been releasing and reworking have just been getting worse and worse. So essentially what I'm going to say here is, well, behavior needs to create another patch like 3.7. If you have no idea what the 3.7 update was, here's what it is on screen. It is just a giant balance pass on all of the maps in the game. They removed extremely abusable windows, they adjusted the safety of tiles, shrunk map size down, they basically just made the game more fair. And ever since they've been reworking maps and adding new ones, they've effectively gone back on this and made the most boring game possible. So, let's get on with what I have to say, I guess. There are far too many safe loops with zero counterplay for any M1 killer. But when loops are counterable and have mind games, most of the time they are a death sentence for the survivor, so that's not fun either. Behavior needs to create more fun and fair tiles for both roles to play, and rather than creating Gideon Meat Plant a million times over. The game isn't a fun map, because there is no mind game for the majority of the pallets. Both the survivor and the killer run around in a circle a few times, and then the survivor drops the pallet and the killer has to break it. Do that 30 times. Wow, that's so fun, yay. It's not just the game that sucks. Area of Cringe, yeah, it really is that bad, has a plethora of safe pallet loops. Additionally, the ones that are unsafe and require a little more skill to play are unfortunately all worthless as they're too short and the killer can just walk around in half a second and hit you. The main building has up to 2 god pallets and 2 god window vaults, plus 3 breakable walls, 2 of which are god walls and need to be broken. Next is Hanfield, which just got reworked, and I'm going to say it because nobody else is. They made the map more survivor-sided than ever before. In fact, there are multiple infinites on the map. I do not mean like a long loop. I'm not over-exaggerating. I mean genuine infinites, where the killer will lose chase and cannot gain bloodlust to catch up. This is because the loops that are infinites have multiple window vaults that have no stagger, and the killer has to walk a longer way around, losing chase. Also, the frame rate on this map sucks, but that's besides the point. Last but certainly not least, we have Garden of Pain, with a main building darker than any bottomless abyss and an infinite inside of it. Just like Haddonfield, the lack of stagger from vaulting the offending windows and the abundance of safe window vaults results in a map that is poorly balanced and extremely unfun for killers to play on. There are plenty of other things wrong with maps, mostly breakable walls if I'm being completely honest, being poorly placed, resulting in repetitive, boring gameplay, where if the killer doesn't break the wall, the loop is unfair and too safe. But if the wall is broken, it becomes unusable and a death sentence to use. Dead Dog Saloon needs a balance update, as well as Ormond and the Colden Farm maps. The rest are in a more tolerable state and aren't nearly as big of an issue, but they're still not good. I have been playing this game since the end of 2018, and ever since they started reworking maps, I've seen nothing but downgrades in the gameplay department. We've created so many maps that are brutally unfun and unfair for M1 killers. They've created an even larger disparity between anti-loop killers and the basic M1 killers. Additionally, with less risk in loops comes less fun for Survivor. Because you no longer need to mind game or really have much skill at looping most tiles anymore, you get bored running the killer because you know that there is nothing they can do to outplay you. Dead by Daylight's modern map and loop design philosophy has caused a lack in player agency in chases, and it really shows. Behavior, you really need to step up your game, rework your maps, rebalance them, and really think differently about how you create loops.